I can't give 100% to home life. Give up, in a way. Give up is, I put that in inverted commas because of course they're not giving up, but they choose to then stay at home, which is not, I mean, I used to feel embarrassed if somebody asked me, what do you do? And I had to say, oh, I'm just at home with the children. It didn't feel good enough, that was, what do you do? Oh, I'm just a mother. It never felt that's okay. But of course, that was what I was putting on myself in a way. And I would like to begin to promote the mindset that women often recreate themselves mid to late 50s into their 50s, where two things happen.
She is the well-known Lisa Burke, a TV presenter, radio show host, and a woman who's navigated the challenges of balancing a busy career, motherhood, and personal growth. In this episode, Lisa shares valuable insights on how to stay authentic in your personal branding, the struggles of managing a career while raising a family, and the importance of self-care. She's also talking about the tough choices she made and how they shaped her journey. If you are looking for real actionable advice on how to keep it all together while pursuing your passions, this episode is for you. So please grab a cup of coffee or tea and feel comfortable as we dive into this inspiring conversation. So welcome one more time to the Brilliantly Branded podcast. So welcome one more time to the Brilliantly Branded podcast. My guest today is a role model, a woman whose journey from science to news reporting has been really nothing short of than inspiring. She have a decade in news in London, and she have been contributing with numerous networks. So she is really full and wealth of experience. And our conversation today is especially because as someone who typically interview others, this time she's having the space to talk about her. And I am so happy to have Lisa here. So welcome, Lisa, to the Brilliantly Branded podcast. And I will invite you to please introduce yourself.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm really, really excited to be here, and congratulations to you on what you're doing. It's so lovely to see women producing their own work and their own shows. And I don't recognize the person you introduced. I just kind of just put my head down and work hard, like most women, actually, I think, and men as well. So we don't know what path life will unfold in front of us, but we have to just try to make a few choices and do our best along the way. That's what I've tried to do.
Yeah, that is amazing. And I love you are coming from this humble side that I really admire because you are, and as I described at the beginning, a role model, at least for me. And I know that for many women, you are a role model with all your background, all the things that you have been doing. And I will love you to share with us, with our audiences, a little bit about your background. So what inspired you? Because you did a transition in your career. And I think that many people don't know about that. And I will love you to bring us about how is your background and how did you end up doing what you are doing today?
Well, firstly, I am very humbled that anybody thinks I'm a role model, because I have plenty of vulnerabilities myself, as those who know me very, very closely, they're very aware of. So my background goes back to Ireland, where I grew up, and my family moved to London when I was 10. I'm just setting that scene to say that my parents worked very, very hard. They never had the chance to go to university. I was the first person from my family to get the chance, and I by a miracle, I don't know how, managed to get to a wonderful university. Well, hard work and great teachers and the support of my parents is how. And there I've just always had people who have been kind and helpful, and I've worked hard. That's the combination. But through school, I was sort of able to do all subjects, but I felt being female as a teenager, if I could do maths and science, which I could and I really loved, then I should study those, which is what I did. I studied maths and sciences, natural sciences, specializing in chemistry. And then it was from my physics teacher at secondary school, where we got some work experience with Francis Wilson, who created the weather department at Sky News. And then when I was at university, he asked me to do a couple of days of work experience. And then it's a bit of a longer story, but between my master's and what would have been a PhD, he asked me to do a few months. So I took a pause after my master's. I had a few PhD offers all at Cambridge, and I'd settled on one with Darren Dixon. That was the one I was going to go back to do, but I paused because I saw people going bang, bang, bang. And I just needed to have a mental break and to enjoy beautiful Cambridge. So I was working in the GlaxoSmithKline lab. At the time, they had a lab within the chemistry department there, to keep my hand in with chemistry, but also to just have a slightly less high intense mental year, because it's high intensity. And it was in that year, that Frances Wilson reached out and said, would I like to work at Sky News for 6 months? So I did. So in April 2000, I'm quite old, I worked at Sky News, and within 1 month I was on air. So he brought me into, he knew my science. He knew my science was strong. And Francis himself was a physicist and a pilot and had gone into weather forecasting that way. So I was brought on through science, actually, in the first instance. And then I had to make a choice to say Sky News, go back and do the PhD. So that was the first V. But for many, many, many years, and even to this day, I have a part of me that regrets not doing the PhD. But that was a tough choice. And so that's the choice I made at the time. So if I ever have a chance to give back, and actually behind me here, these books here, they are science books that I've written with Dorling Kindersley. So I always try to give back to science if I ever have the chance.
Well, Lisa, thank you for sharing part of your story, because actually this is now even more inspirational from the sense that you have a strong background in science, that you have been working on it, and just life brought you to decide to go to do something different. And you was accepting the challenge. And accepting these challenges is making the woman that you are today, if I understood well, right?
I think and I do think that challenges, even though they can break us at the knees sometimes, and I've had plenty of those in life. I mean,
True.
it's a blessed life. Well, I was going to say it's a blessed life if you don't have those, but in fact, I think it's a blessed life if you do have them, because it builds your empathy for others. So working at Sky News, which I did for a decade, it was wonderful. I don't know that I realized how wonderful at the time, because it's also very, very hard. I was doing mostly early shifts, and I started at 4:30 in the morning. So it affects every other part of your life. And it's not just turning up at a desk to hide, at 4:30 in the morning. It's to be on air, happy and presenting by 5:45 in the morning.
Oh my goodness, that is incredible, because really sometimes we think that many people are just see the tip of the iceberg, no? Like, well, yeah, this person is successful, is doing whatever is doing, and yeah, probably get there because of this or that. But nobody or not many people knows what are the efforts that we need to do the things and to bring results to our life and to grow at the same time, because doing all those things is teaching us many other things. So if you woke up at 4:30, discipline is one of the things.
I was at my desk at 4:30.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
I can assure you, every minute of the morning matters at that time of day. And we lived very close to Sky News at the time. And although I happen to know that wherever you live in London, at that time of day, there's no real traffic, and the only time factor are the traffic lights, if you get stuck at traffic lights.
Yeah.
But we lived, and I could push it to getting out of bed at 4:17 and being at my desk for 4:30. So that was the finest I could do it.
Well, congratulations, because this is already something very challenging,
Oh, yes.
you know. And coming a little bit more that I want you to share a little bit more of your personal side, because it's just the fact, as you well explained, to be a woman in this sector, and I wanted to do something different. And as well now, being a mom, being a businesswoman, and all those things are coming together, and I still know that this is as well a challenge. So would you like to share with us how you have been shaped this let's say this journey for make this work today?
Well, I think I made many mistakes. Yeah, I had my daughters relatively young. If I was comparing myself to my friends at the time, so late 20s, early 30s, although biologically, of course, that is not young. Biologically, you're an old lady if you have a child at 35. But anyway, um, so uh, it really impacted my career. There isn't any question, because my husband at the time had a very intense job, and it sort of fell on me. He had to travel a lot for work, foreign news, um, to pull together the childcare. And obviously, if you're doing early shifts, it's tough. So the week I went back to work full time after Aurelia was born, I went back to work with her with me when she was 3 months old. And then I went
Oh,
back full
wow.
time when she was 6 months old. And the week I went back, he went to Afghanistan for 3 weeks. And so I had to have, obviously, you can't get any childcare that starts at 4 a.m. So I had to have somebody stay in my house to just be in the house until the childcare arrived at 7:30. So the truth is, children plus the work that I had was really hard. Things went wrong in my marriage, very, very, very wrong. And ultimately, after many years, it didn't survive. And the things I learned, I guess, if I was to pass on any information to my daughters, I would say always keep a foot in the workplace. Always look after yourself. I mean, I had people say this to me, but as a new mother, you don't understand what it means at the time. People say, look after yourself, the cliche is put your own mask on first.
Yes.
But you don't
Yeah.
always understand what that means. And then you've got hormonal changes in your body, and everything is tipping upside down, and time is condensed into nothingness. And then there's the cost of living with various, the cost of childcare. I had many of my contemporary friends with children at the time who financially, it didn't actually make sense for them to continue working. So because the cost of childcare was eating up all their money. So they thought, well,
Yeah.
why am I paying someone else to look after my child? So they make that choice. And that's the first step where women are exiting the workplace, especially in expensive cities like London, or I know the US is not great with childcare, going back to work, or maternity care either. Luxembourg is very, very kind on that front to both parents, I will say, as well. So that period of my life was really hard. And then we started moving country following my then husband's work. So we moved to Abu Dhabi, back to London for his work. We moved to Luxembourg for his work. So through that moving country, each time I was resettling the girls first, which took, I believe, 18 months. And it was incredibly hard for me to sustain any form of career. I always did something. I never did nothing. I can't do nothing. I'm definitely not built that way. So I think it's important to continue to do something. But I certainly personally felt that, whereas at the time, and I know the philosophy is changing in parenthood, one might think of the 30s as a career building time for women, but that is a time that a lot of women might be having a family, and that is massively impactful on the woman. And then if we're talking to an international audience here, where you're moving country, a lot of women are then moving country with smaller children, because it's easier to move smaller children than older children due to actually exams at school.
Yeah.
It's a double impact. I mean, it's a wonderful thing. It's a fantastic thing to move country. And I will say some women are totally happy with that. Sorry, I just need to take a drink of tea. Some women are totally happy with that. And
Yes.
no judgment. But for me, I really want to work hard. I learned it's part of what I need to do for myself. And so you will also see that a lot of women through this time, whether they're moving country or whether they're raising a young family, and they have this pull, I can't give 100% to work, I can't give 100% to home life. They give up. In a way, give up is, I put that in inverted commas because of course they're not giving up, but they choose to then stay at home, which is not, I mean, I used to feel embarrassed if somebody asked me, what do you do? And I had to say, I'm just at home with the children. It didn't feel good enough. That was, what do you do? I'm just a mother. It never felt that's okay. But of course, that was what I was putting on myself in a way. So all of this is to say that I think 30s and 40s, if a woman is either following a partner around or having children and trying to raise a family, it's a very tough time. And I would like to begin to promote the mindset that women often recreate themselves mid to late 40s into their 50s, where two things happen. We begin to get our own time back. We begin to know ourselves more. I think the education system is not set up for women. Now we have more lifelong learning. But before, the path was maybe degree, maybe master's, maybe PhD, then maybe
Different.
postdoc.
Yeah.
By the time you've done all that, you're nearly 30. The biological cliff drops off at 35. So after that kind of like educational point, at what point are you meant to then do the career and then have the family? You can't do it all. You can't.
That's true. You cannot.
Therefore, I would like to promote the idea that for women, where we have a biological clock, and of course, I don't mind if a woman has a child or doesn't have a child. I think we're actually moving into a period of history where many may not, or we can see in many countries the rate of children per couple is under one, actually. But anyway, that's a different conversation. I would like to see more women rise up in their 40s and 50s plus, when we begin to get our time back and we begin to have realized we are worthy of a life and a career as well outside of family life.
It's lovely what you just said, because I'm feeling very identified with that, especially because we don't take the time to make decisions on time. And that is connecting with my question for you that I want to ask you. What would you say to the Lisa that got it this life? I mean, the Lisa of 30 years old that have in front the things in that time, knowing that you know today.
Oh, that's very poignant. Because when I was 30, I had a wonderful party. That's very poignant. In our lovely home. My daughter was 6 months old. My work was good. My marriage was good. My father was there. I lost him 4 years ago. And it was just his anniversary last Friday of his death.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Life was good then. I didn't know what was about to hit me. I had no idea what was going to hit me, actually, in my life. My 30s were not an easy time. There were some very nice points, but they were not always easy. And that's why, if I can also give back to women, I will. Raising a family, looking after yourself, being kind to yourself, managing work, managing marriage, it's very, very hard, I think. It was very hard for me. And I ultimately didn't manage it. So
It is. It is. And thank you for sharing that, Lisa, because it's something very personal from your side. I love that I touch some fibers there that awake something on you that make you come back to that time. And but the most importantly here is how your experience now is teaching to others and inspire other women to do things differently. Because that's the reason why we giving this voice to know what is happening, how we can become better, how we can do things differently. And I know that now you have been delivering a lot of advice for women in different stage, just not the 30s, but the 40s and the 50s. And I really appreciate that. I am so grateful about that. And I would love to bring a little bit more about what are the things that you have now that probably you cannot communicate through your job. That is, you have a very professional work right now, and you have as well the business around that, and you are mother, and you are as well, I saw your beautiful dog around. So how to, because I said that we end up juggling with all the things, what will be probably your main advice for women that are now feeling overwhelmed in giving the next
Oh,
steps?
well, I'm one of those women. Quite often overwhelmed with the amount I have to do. I think I'll give them my mother's advice, which is that she will know the cutoff point. My mother is very good at this. And if the dishes have to be left in the sink at night, that's okay. I think we have to let some things go and be okay with that. And that's hard for some of us because a lot of us want to do our best and do well. And, um, I certainly have come across perfectionists in my life, and I wish I could be that. but but you can't, because it will kill you. um, so I think we
Agree.
have to learn that we can't do it all, and that some things have to go, and you just have to choose what are those things. And I would say just focus on 3 things in a day. I mean, I should give myself this advice as well.
That is what happened normally. Yeah, we say things amazingly good, and then we look ourselves up. So I am applying that to myself.
I mean, I am far from perfect, and there's so much I'd like to change in my life, but I know I can't do it all. And sometimes I just have to sit down on the sofa with the dog and I watch TV. I don't do that often. I did that last night, but yeah, sometimes. I mean, it goes back to, you have to look after yourself. So you have to. I know when I'm near a breaking point, because I do a lot. I do try to fit a lot in, and I absolutely know, my body tells me when I'm near a breaking point. And I will also add, as women begin to rise up more in their 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s, we see much more of this now, and 80s. And let's not give it an upper limit. Our health changes. We have major hormonal changes, and I
Yeah,
think, I mean, and I say my father died 4 years ago. There truly is nothing more important than health, actually, really nothing, because everything comes from
true.
that. So the 2 things that are the most important wallets that we carry in our life are time and health.
Time and health. Very wise, Lisa, and I agree with you 100%. And I think this is going to be a beautiful message for our audiences. I said our because I know that you have a big audience as well. And this, what you said, is actually showing how we as a human beings needs to be thinking a little bit more in what is surrounded us, how we are giving food to ourselves, so what we are eating, what we are doing, and taking care of our mental health as well, no, because our mental health related with the work that you are doing every day, all the things that you need to do. I'm curious about how do you manage your mental health in order to keep in this center.
I have to tell you something funny. So my 18-year-old, last night, she called me to say that one of her best friends had given her this most incredible gift for her 18th and Christmas. She'd given her a pill bottle and taken every pill out emptied it, and inside every single pill, she'd written a handwritten note. And one of these notes, she
Wow.
just pulled one out.
That is so
was saying,
sweet.
unbelievable. I mean, God, I wish. Unbelievable on so many levels. One of the messages that Aurelia just pulled and opened for me was, take time for yourself, paint your nails. Something like this. And I was laughing with Aurelia. The message was about self-care. I think it had those words in it. And I said to Aurelia, when I was her age, I said to her, do you know how often the phrase self-care was mentioned in my life? I mean, it's a big fat zero. There was no comment on mental health, nothing. This was not a thing. Through my teenage years, through my 20s, really, it was more that kind of word self-care. I first, it kind of flew my way from America. That's how it came. But my mother, again, I bring it back to her. She does this, and she does it very well. I use her as an example. Again, I don't do it, but you were talking about mental health. So my mum lives alone now. She still has many friends around her and is very, very busy and is still working, actually. It runs in the blood. But every few weeks, she books herself a hair appointment. I don't think she always needs the hair appointment, but she does it because it's a moment for her to just look after herself, do better about herself. And so every time she's at the hairdresser, she's booking the next appointment, and she'll get her nails done. I joke. You do. You look lovely.
Yeah, I do.
By the way, I noticed them. And she is right, and I don't take enough time out for myself. Do you know, actually, one reason I have a dog, I thought about it long and hard, because she's got her eyes closed here. I absolutely know how much hard work, I really know how much hard work a dog is, especially a big dog like her. One of the reasons I got that dog, my wonderful Cara, I'm looking at you now, Cara, is so that I had to go out every single day and have a walk every single day in the woods or the forest. And now I have a dog walker sometimes. But to be honest, that dog is my mental health.
Yeah, well, that is amazing. And I am a pet lover as well. So for me, it's this connection. And in Luxembourg, I'm fortunate at having had the opportunity to have my own dogs. So always when I'm coming back to visit my parents, there is a dog. So I really love the time that I spent, and I see how good that have been doing to my parents' mental health as well. So for me, is what you are doing is lovely, because having those kind of support anchors, that is as well, we need to help ourselves. No, because you can say, well, yeah, the life is difficult. I am doing all those things, but if you don't put on your path something that will help you, so how the things are going to change, right?
Yeah. And I was thinking,
well, this is
mental
lovely,
health,
Lisa.
if you go to talk to a counselor or a psychologist or whatever, it can be expensive, but I think a dog is equally expensive.
Yeah.
They're there all the time. They are a friend for life.
Yeah. Well, Lisa, I think that I have been amazing, the opportunity to know a little bit more about you, a little bit more about how you think, what you feel. I love your spontaneity to even becoming emotional, because this is really showing who you are and all these facets that probably people don't know that now they are going to know. I don't know if you wanted, because the purpose is women empowerment through the lens of branding. So you have been giving a lot of power to other women, I already know. And my last question, just to start to wrap up, is how do you think that when we have all those things to do, all these responsibilities, that we can really deal with managing our personal brand?
Well, it's good that you ask that, because I haven't given that enough thought. I've just tried to be me. So I know we have this word authenticity bandied around, but I know from my time with television, and just me as a person, the one thing that I never like is if I don't feel a person is real. And I think a viewer, a listener, is very clever, and they can feel that if somebody is fake. So I mean, the only thing I know about branding is it should be real. That's all I know about it. I mean, I know there's all sorts of clever ways to do X, Y, and Z that I'm not doing, and I should be doing, and I should learn from you, no doubt. And I will try. I will listen to all of the episodes, and I'll try to get better.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
True. But all I know is that, for me at least, I absolutely know if somebody's real or not in front of me, and I know viewers know that too. So that is what I think. I think that's what the branding of today should be about.
It is. You are very right. And the branding, not just from today, the entire branding, the entire life is how you generate those emotional connections with people. And the only way to do it, as you said, being authentic, be yourself, and removing the fake and making that connection is the value of branding. So, Lisa, I have to say thank you very much to be here and to give us the opportunity to know you a little bit more. And I will love to really people try to get it more in contact with you and I, and getting to know more about our personal lives, because this is about that, generating that connections, that emotional connections. So thank you, Lisa, for being in the Brilliantly Branded podcast.
Thank you for asking me, and good luck with everything that you do.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you very much. I'm grateful by having you as a listener on this episode. I am in the mission of empowering thousands of women around the globe, and I need your support for that. Help me to spread the voice by sharing this episode and subscribe to our social media channels. And remember, if you want to listen to exceptional stories and have someone that inspires you, please get in touch with me, because I will love to have them as a guest to learn from their experience and share their story with you next time. So until the next episode, ciao, ciao.